Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Welcome to Day 3. I'm Sheena Valenzuela, Project Officer for Digital Democracy at MBC. Munting paalala bago tayo magsimula. For identification purposes, all attendees are required to have their first and last name and LGU in their display name. Second, today's session is being recorded. We may also use all or part of it in our platforms and publications. We encourage you to get your questions in early, even while the presentation is going on. You may send in your questions by typing them in the chat box. When we call on you for your question, we will turn your mic on. Please state your name and LGU name before asking your question. Lastly, as we start today's session, I'd like to remind everyone to please turn on your camera so that we can all feel like we are together in this learning process. Thank you. I am now turning the floor over to Geeta, our project lead.
Thank you, Sheena. Good morning, everyone. How are you today? Can I get a quick thumbs up from everyone if you're doing great? Great. I see a few thumbs up in our room. Good morning, everyone. How are you feeling this Thursday morning? Hello, Pope. Good morning, Sir Dr. Mark Anthony. Good morning, Batangas City. Good morning, everyone. It's so nice to see you again. We are now on day 3. Oh, wow. The whole team is there with Dr. Mark Anthony. Good morning po. It's so nice to see everyone. Perfect. Good morning po. So today, thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to welcome to day 3 of Digital Democracy, a clear path training for LGUs and local civil society, an initiative of Makati Business Club and supported by USAID Philippines. Here's a recap of what we discussed over the past 2 days. Pinag-usapan natin last time kung ano ang digital democracy, why it's important for good governance, and we started on the Clear Path module. We completed Module 1, clarifying goals. We assessed the landscape, understood the importance of securing leadership buy-in, and we created our problem tree analysis. Tapos na rin tayo last time sa Module 2, laying the foundation for the digital democracy consultation. At nagsimula na tayo sa ating action plan. So today, pag-uusapan natin ay ang topic na engaging stakeholders and adapting strategies. Our schedule looks like this. We'll start with Module 3, then we'll have a speaker talking about social media and how to use it. Module 4, adapting strategies, then we'll have our breakout room as usual. Okay, simulan na natin mag-deep dive into the digital democracy consultation process. The digital democracy process can be summarized into 5 steps. Step 1, identify the issue. Pipili ang LGU ng issue that they would like to ask their citizens' opinions on. Anong issue ang gusto niyong i-discuss sa mga citizens ninyo? Ito po napili niyo na po sa problem tree analysis on day 1. Or if hindi pa kayo sigurado, you can talk to your LGU about it after the session today. In step 2, the LGU holds an online opening ceremony where the LGU launches the poll. Sa opening ceremony, i-release yung LGU ng poll. In step 3, participants are invited to vote. Gagamit tayo ng social media at iba pang digital tools para ma-reach at i-encourage ang mga tao na bumoto sa issue. In step 4, we will hold the closing event where the survey results are analyzed and presented to the government. Dito rin nila sasabihin kung ano ang plano nila base sa consensus-driven data. In step 5, the LGU reports what happens after the consultation, what decision they came to, or what changes were implemented. Importanteng i-close ang loop na ito para ma-inform ang mga citizens na talagang nakikinig ang gobyerno sa kanila. So I wanted to ask if anyone has any questions about the process. All good naman po? Good morning. All right, so since no questions, I'll just move forward. So bago tayo magpatuloy, I just wanted to give you as well a brief recap of the different digital democracy projects MBC has helped cities with since 2020. So, unang-una in 2020, we launched the pilot program with Pasig City at gusto nilang malaman ang opinion ng citizens tungkol sa open streets sa ilang area ng Pasig. Ang open streets ay areas where vehicular traffic is not allowed. Ang pwede lang dito ay walking and biking. Through digital democracy, nalaman ng Pasig LGU na kahit gusto ng citizens ang open streets, worried ang mga car drivers na baka ma-ticket sila kung aksidente silang napunta sa mga area na ito. Para ma-address ang concerns na ito, para ma-address yung concerns ng mga driver, isang information campaign or collaboration with navigation apps such as Waze and Google Maps would really be helpful. Naging successful ang pilot project na ito, kaya naman digital democracy continued in 2021. In 2021, we once again launched a consultation with 4 cities. Sa Pasig ulit, gusto nilang malaman what citizens thought about making roads safer through low-speed streets. Ang LGUs naman ng Legazpi and Iligan asked small businesses how the government can support them na maka-recover sa pandemic. Finally, we also worked with the Intramuros administration. May nakapunta na ba sa Intramuros recently? Pwede mag-thumbs up sa screen kung nakapunta na po kayo. I see 2 people have been to Intramuros, 3 people have been to Intramuros, 5 have been to Intramuros. Great. So, for those who are maybe hindi nakatira dito sa Manila, kung magbisita po kayo dito sa Metro Manila, go to Intramuros City. Ito po yung Spanish heritage site that has really survived for a long time. So dito sa Intramuros, so I just wanted to ask, so those who've been there, baka makafamiliar kayo sa General Luna. General Luna is the main street in Intramuros City. Ito po ay where the San Agustin Church is located. So dito sa Intramuros, the government asked citizens about turning General Luna into a pedestrian-only zone. Let's watch this video to learn more.
Intramuros is an award-winning tourist attraction and a monument to the history of the Filipino people. The city was devastated during World War II, leaving only parts of the original fortifications and the grid of Intramuros intact. Despite the destruction, Intramuros proved to be resilient. From the ruins, Intramuros became an urban heritage district. Today, Intramuros is going through another revival. Streets have been cleared and building facades have been restored to preserve this heritage site. To continue this revitalization, the Intramuros administration is considering pedestrian-only streets in Intramuros, starting with General Luna. Pedestrian-only streets are streets or roads where motor vehicles are not allowed to enter or pass through. In these streets, only walking, cycling, light electric vehicles and pedicabs are allowed. The pedestrianization of General Luna Street aims to promote tourism and also aims to protect the San Agustin Church as a UNESCO-declared World Heritage Site. Recent studies have shown that the structural integrity of San Agustin is in jeopardy because of the volume of vehicular traffic passing General Luna Street. Before they decide on a policy, the Intramuros administration gathered public opinion through an online citizen assembly. In a joint project with the Makati Business Club and Konrad Adenauer Stiftung, the Intramuros administration asked residents and visitors what they thought about turning General Luna into a pedestrian-only zone. By voting on this issue, citizens provided insights to the Intramuros administration, which will inform their approach in rolling out this initiative. Through this digital democracy project, the Intramuros government and citizens engaged in meaningful consultation and participation, essential ingredients of democracy.
Okay, so mukhang Na po. Mukhang clear na po what we did with Intramuros administration. We helped them consult with their citizens tungkol sa General Luna Street. Tapos nun sa 2022, we created Digital Democracy Microsite. Ginawan na rin namin ang Digital Democracy Handbooks at we conducted trainings for LGU officials and CSOs. In 2022 din, tinulungan din namin ang Pasig, Himamaylan at Victoria City. We held 3 consultations with Pasig City on biking to work. Nag-hold din kami ng isang consultation with Himamaylan City to help the Sangguniang Kabataan determine which projects would be prioritized and funded for the year. And we held a consultation with Victoria City para malaman how they can better support the mental health of their youth. And finally, in 2023, Quezon City and Intramuros cities shared with us that they conducted their own consultation rin as a result of their training, kasi part sila ng training in 2022. So you can see that digital democracy consultation can range from many topics at makakatulong ito sa mga LGUs na makapagdesisyon sa iba't ibang usapin mula sa transportasyon, budget, road policy, at business policy. By using the digital democracy consultation process, governments are able to better engage with their citizens. So this leads us to our third module, engaging stakeholders. So ano ba ang best way to effectively engage stakeholders in your digital democracy initiatives? So here are some tips. Unang-una, identify stakeholders. Alamin kung sino ang mga key stakeholders mo. Develop engagement strategies. Planuhin kung paano mo sila i-engage. Paano nyo sila kausapin? Utilize various channels for engagement. Gumamit ng iba't ibang paraan para ma-reach ang stakeholders. Ano-ano ang mga paraan or tools that you can use para makausap sila? So let's start with identifying stakeholders. Identifying stakeholders is the first step in the engagement process. Key stakeholders typically include local government units, officials, civil society organization officials, businesses, academia, media, individual citizens, and others. So before we proceed further, meron bang additional stakeholders in mind that we should add to this list? Can you write it in the chat box? Meron ba akong na-miss? Sino po ba ang ibang stakeholders sa inyong mga cities? Maybe I can give the example. What about barangay residents? Says Doc Linda. That's a great example po. Yes. National government agencies. Yes. Minsan they're also our stakeholders po. External provided, says Doc Mary Ann Antenor. Yes po. Yes po. Cesar's saying senior citizens. Absolutely. So actually, itong list na ito which I've given is quite small. And then according to Ms. Cecil, youth. Yes po, youth is a very important stakeholder. Purok leaders. Yes po. Property owners. That's right po. In fact, Ms. Rox, perhaps you could also talk about the other stakeholders in your consultation, which is farmers. Yes po. Farmers, fisher folks. So marami talaga ang stakeholders natin. So it really depends on the topic of your consultation. Kung topic nyo is for these stakeholders, isulat natin yun. It depends talaga. So kasi malawak rin yung mga LGUs natin, we can't reach everyone. So it's important to be more specific about who we want to reach so that you get the maximum information. Barangay officials, yes po, Crispina Bailan. Thank you po for that answer. Great. Thank you for these amazing examples. So actually, gamitin natin ang example ng consultation sa Intramuros City. Sa Intramuros, gusto namin maalaman ng opinion ng lahat ng tao na nakatira at nagtrabaho doon. Kaya gumawa kami ng stakeholder map. Sa tulong ng administrasyon, nilista namin lahat ng stakeholders na kailangan naming i-reach out. So these are just the basics of the stakeholder map. Could we go to the previous slide? Yes. And so in these slides, we have the NGO, the academe, public and civil society, private sector, and government, and also the political parties, etc. Pero ito very general po. So later po, we will show you a stakeholder map na very, very specific about Intramuros. Okay na po. So once you have identified your stakeholders, the next step is to develop engagement strategies and identify communication channels. Ask yourself, ano ang best way to reach your target audience? So let's do a quick activity. I'd like to ask you, what is the best way to reach out to the academia? Could you write it on our chat box? Sir Felix, we could go to the next slide. Yes. So what is the best way to reach out to academia? Any thoughts? Write invite letters. That's absolutely right, Doc Linda. See them personally. Yes. That's very, very nice talaga. Thank you po. Any other thoughts for reaching out to academia? Yeah, I think for probably the teachers and the professors, writing letters, consultation, Ms. Crispina Bailan, thank you so much. Yes po. And yeah, email, approach them via LinkedIn. That's very good. Absolutely. Through the local school board. True. That's a great way to reach out as well. And maybe one thing we could think about in Himamaylan City, we reached out to the DepEd, the local regional Department of Education, so that we could reach out to the academia there because they have all of the contacts. So that's also another approach. Thank you po for your great answers. Perhaps we could ask the next one, which is, what is the best way to reach out to MSMEs? Great. Sir Magellan, if you don't mind, could you unmute yourself and talk a little bit about how you've engaged barangay officials and Purok leaders?
Yes. We have started talking to the barangay officials with Purok leaders, and they presented us last Sunday the perennial problem flooding their subdivision. In fact, it has been a problem since the subdivision has been developed.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's great. Yeah, it's really important to consult with our leaders rin po. And then, Miss Vanessa, could I also ask you to unmute yourself? Why would we reach out to the DTI to speak to MSMEs?
Actually, they have a wide range of connections, and also mas makakatapo sila to local offices like our local economic office po. So mas maraming marireach po ng mga MSMEs to provide more communications or connections.
Great, that's perfect po. And then I see Mark Anthony Latoja of San Fernando says, reach out to the Chamber of Commerce. Could you please explain further, sir?
Hi, Ms. Gita, and to everyone. The Chamber of Commerce is an association of businesses.
Mhm.
So I think we could also reach out to them as representative of the businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. These are great answers. I see that Ms. Ninfa from USAID would also suggest industry associations. May I know why?
MSMEs are organized by DTI into associations like the Food Association, the Handicraft Association, and garments. So these are excellent ways of reaching out to different sectors of industry.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ninfa. Hanin Laguindab, can we ask you also to unmute yourself and talk a little bit about your answer? Business groups rin po?
Yes po. I think pareho naman po with the others. The business groups, the chambers, the what Ma'am Ninfa mentioned about organized by DTI. And of course, the local SMED Council are the best way to connect with them since they are already organized themselves.
Perfect. And then Dr. Antenor, you said invitations for public hearings and consultations. Could you explain a little bit?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. So this is actually in relative to if there are programs that are developed in partnership or the business establishment here in the city. So this is actually a best way actually to reach out those MSMEs, managers, or those who are owners of business establishments to engage in such public consultations and committee hearings, specifically if the programs are intended or in partnership with them. Kasi doon po namin maririnig ano po ba yung kanilang mga opinions and take doon sa mga programs na. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And finally, Crispina Bailan, can I hear from you po? May I ask you to unmute po? There.
Hello, good morning, everyone. From the PIMASI, which is the People's Movement Against Crime and Environmental Exploitation Incorporated. Kasi yung we have the organization of the transportation of the King Cab commuters in our association. So we had an invitation of some members of the commuters and operators of the King Cab for the purpose of having the promotion of the unit for every commuter. So that is, we had an invitation and group meetings to have them approach.
That's a great
Thank
idea.
you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Bailan, for explaining. And thank you everyone for sharing your thoughts. As we can see, maybe we thought there's only one way to reach MSMEs, pero marami palang ways to reach them. So that's really very, very helpful and good to know. Meron po sana, so maybe the last question I can ask is, what's the best way to reach out to the youth? When reaching the youth, is there a best strategy? Any thoughts? Social media, yes. Ms. Vanessa Villena, for sure. SK Fed, yes. Through the local youth development council, absolutely. Social media, yes po. These are really, really great responses. And then when we were working with Himamaylan City, as I mentioned, and Victoria City, we actually reached out to DepEd. So that's how we were able to reach the school-going youth rin naman po. Yes, Cecil, absolutely. First, through the schools is a great way to reach out to the youth. So thank you so much for your explanations and helping us all understand how to reach out to these different stakeholders. It's clear na alam nyo naman po what's the best way to reach out to the different groups. So we'll move on to the next topic, which is I'll give you a brief example of Intramuros. So let's go to the next slide. And then after that, yeah, so Intramuros, pag nag-identify namin ng stakeholders, nalaman namin the best way para mag-reach ng bawat community is lumapit sa Intramuros Business Council, sa government offices that work there, sa historical society na may interest doon, at sa mga universities in the area. So we asked for their help para ma-reach ang mga communities nila. And naki-coordinate din kami sa press para ma-disseminate ang survey. So to effectively engage stakeholders, there are various channels to choose from. Sa Intramuros, gumamit kami ng emails para ma-reach ang iba't ibang communities at tumawag din kami as in phone calls sa mga president ng iba't ibang associations. But of course, isa sa pinaka-important channels we have at our disposal is social media. So I'd now like to call on Dessa Tope to discuss how to effectively use social media to communicate with citizens. Dessa is our communications lead at Makati Business Club. Dessa?
Thank you so much, Gita. At maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat sa pag-attend ng session natin ngayong umaga. Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. So for this portion, I will be talking about social media. For sure po, lahat tayo ay may social media accounts, may it be personal or our city's official accounts. So it could vary from the different platforms that we currently have. Pero for this session po, gusto po namin ibahagi sa inyo kung ano yung mga gumana or nag-work para sa amin at sa aming mga partners. So na-mention ni Gita kanina, engaging stakeholders, adapting strategies, kung paano kakausapin ng inyong mga stakeholders, at kung paano i-utilize ang channels. So at least for the two portions, we'll be addressing that for this session. So bago po ang lahat, pwede po ba naming malaman or i-drop nyo lang po sa ating chat box. Ano-ano po ang social media platforms na ginagamit ng inyong mga lungsod? Facebook po ba yan? LinkedIn, Twitter, pwedeng TikTok, Instagram. Ano po yung mga ginagamit ninyo? So chat nyo lang po sa atin. So medyo marami pong Facebook so far. Masbate City, San Fernando, La Union, and Batangas City Facebook page, yes. Meron po bang gumagamit ng Twitter or wala? At saka TikTok. So far, wala. Parang medyo most on Facebook. Meron tayong IG from San Fernando, La Union, and as well as X. So, nabanggit niyo po yung mga iba't ibang klaseng platforms na ginagamit ninyo. Maliban po doon, may mga iba pa po tayong platforms katulad ng Messenger, Viber, and also the Google Suite as well. Para sa mga commercial na brands, ano nga ba ang social media? So para sa commercial na brands, ang social media ay paraan para makapagbenta ng kanilang produkto o serbisyo. Pero para sa atin, katulad ng mga NGOs, non-profits, LGUs katulad ninyo, ang social media ay isang paraan para ma-push out ang inyong content at makapag-touch base with your followers or constituents or stakeholders. So, nag-screenshot po tayo ng mga posts ninyo sa inyong social media, particularly on Facebook. So, tingnan po natin yan para sagutin lang kung bakit ba natin ginagamit ang social media. So, una, meron tayong paraan para to showcase our initiatives. So, like Masbate, they shared the speech during the speech of their mayor during the Independence Day. So, pwede rin ito para to inform and update, katulad ng pag-update ng CEO sa kanilang coffee roasting competition na nangyayari just earlier this month. And then highlight important announcements also, pwede tulad ng fake concert tickets to beware, o kaya weather advisory, daluyong, bagyo, etc. And then lastly is to engage with constituents or partners na pinakita naman ng Batangas and San Fernando, La Union sa kanilang mga posts or screenshots dito sa ating slide. So it should be timely, relatable, something that they can comment about. So madami po kayong ginagawang mga proyekto at initiatives, at ito lang po yung mga ilan sa paraan para ma-push ninyo yung content ninyo sa inyong stakeholders. So, napag-usapan po natin bahagya yung mga klase ng post o kaya bakit ba natin ginagamit ang social media. Ngayon naman, paano nyo naman ma-amplify yung content na nailabas nyo na? So, aside from posting more, meron din tayong pagla-like at pag-share. Siyempre, kailangan suportahan natin ang sariling atin. So, mismo sa inyong departamento, sa inyong opisina, maganda kung sinusuportahan nyo din yung page ninyo through liking and sharing the posts that were released. Pangatlo, ibahagi ninyo yung highlight initiatives ninyo sa mga media contacts. So, umpisahan ninyo sa paggawa ng media contacts na related o interesado sa local government ninyo or sa mga news na nilalabas ninyo. So, pwede nyo itong isend sa kanila through the social media, through posting to social media, or even emailing them directly. Pang-apat, mag-reply tayo sa mga comments. So, hindi lang natatapos yung work or yung social media work sa pagpo-post. Kailangan din makikipag-interact tayo sa ating mga followers, sa ating stakeholders by replying to their comments. Regardless if it's a hate comment na kahit masakit or good comment. So it would be good to make them feel that they are heard. Lastly po, pwede nyo ring i-boost ang inyong content. So kung meron kayong nakalaan na budget, mas maganda itong mag-boost kayo ng mga certain posts, hindi naman kailangan lahat, para lang mas mapalawak pa yung reach ninyo outside of your target market. So ito na po yung public or within your target market. Usapan naman po natin. So nagpo-post tayo kahit naman personal, nag-share tayo ng mga posts on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, as well as LinkedIn. Pero ano ba yung mga kailangan natin pag nagpo-post tayo? Hindi ko po sure kung lahat po ng nandito ay nakapag-post na using your official LGU page, or baka meron kayong sariling social media department na gumagawa nito. Pero para lang po sa kaalaman ninyo, ang kailangan nyo ay caption at material at intindihin yung comment section. So sa caption po, mainam na maipaliwanag ninyo or mai-communicate kung ano yung nangyari, sino yung mga involved, at bakit importanteng malaman ito ng inyong mga followers. Base po sa aming experience, mas maganda ang performance ng aming post tuwing meron kaming CTA or call to action link kung saan sila pwedeng makakuha ng more information. So pwede po yung link na yon ay registration link sa isang event, inyong website, other social media or other post, pwede rin po itong form for surveys at iba pa. Maganda rin kung natatag natin partners natin para ma-encourage sila na mag-share. Katulad ng pag-share ninyo ng inyong mga content, ng kanilang content sa inyong page. Maganda rin kung itatag nyo sila para ma-share nila yung content ninyo. At lastly, we have hashtags. So hashtags, it works in a way na it helps you track your progress. Ilan ba yung na-post tungkol sa hashtag na to? Ilan ba yung campaign na na-post? Ilan yung post na within the same campaign through the hashtags. And of course, meron din tayong material. Hindi naman pwedeng caption lang. Kailangan may visual element tayo sa ating post. So ito ay pwedeng litrato, static na imahe, graphics, video, or yung mga uso ngayon ng mga reels na short content. Lastly, may comment section tayo sa parte ng post. Katulad ng naipaliwanag ko kanina sa previous slide, ito ay paraan para makapag-interact with your followers. Para kung may katanungan sila, ay masagot nyo kaagad. Kung may komento sila, ay ma-take into consideration nyo at iba pa. So, konting interaction lang po ulit tayo. Paki-share naman po sa chat box natin kung ano yung klase ng mga post na tingin nyo patok or nagpo-perform best sa inyong mga social media accounts. Pwede nyo sabihin, kunwari, interview reels on TikTok o kaya event highlights on Facebook Reels. Tingnan din po natin kung ano yung mga i-share ninyo. So para po sa Batangas City, Reels at live streams ang medyo patok sa kanilang mga followers. Walang pasok announcement, of course, yan ang best news lagi, di ba? Pag walang pasok. Training opportunities, okay, upskilling for CDO. Recent improvements in barangay programs and projects for Batangas. Scholarship distribution for Batangas also. Job fairs. So medyo mga puro announcements yung mga patok kasi nag-aabang siguro yung mga constituents or followers ninyo for the latest news and initiatives that they can participate in. So tignan din po natin. So nagbahagi po kayo ng mga samples ng inyong best performing post. Tinignan po namin ang inyong mga pages katulad kanina. At ito lamang po ang ilan sa mga klase ng post na nakita namin ay very engaging sa inyong mga pages. Notable at considered as good practice. So, feature lang po natin isa-isa ang inyong mga pages at post. So for CDO, nung chine-check ko po yung social media ninyo, nag-highlight kayo ng inyong latest achievement lately. So I think this was 2 days ago. So hinighlight niyo yung recognition ninyo. And I believe medyo madaming likes and madaming shares yung post na to. And I believe it helps your LGU's image as well as your credibility. So credibility building, and also relatability to that particular field. And then for Batangas naman, medyo mas on the trendier side. On the trendier side tayo. So, what's new? Anong bagong pwedeng puntahan ng mga locals at ng mga dayo or turista na gustong pumunta sa Batangas? So, nakakatulong ito para sa mga nagre-research ng mga activities. Si Miss Vanessa Villena from Batangas City, you're raising your hand po.
Yes po, ma'am. Our official Facebook page po is Palakat Batangas City. So in that
Yung
Facebook
Palakat
page, yes po. I think this is a parang mga netizen created Facebook page.
Netizen
More
po itong sa
on
Batangas.
Apo, parang
Okay.
I mean this is more on promotion in province-wide po. So for Batangas
Okay.
City LGU, we have Palakat Batangas City, which we post daily news and other announcements. So you may visit our Facebook page, Palakat Batangas City.
All right. Thank you so much
Yes.
for that one po.
Yes po.
Thank you. So at least for Batangas,
I think
sige, babalikan na lang
if
po namin yung page
yes po.
ninyo.
Yes po. Sir Raymond, message the link po of our Facebook page po in the chat box.
All right. Thank you so much, Sir Raymond. Sorry about that. I thought that was your official Facebook page. All right. Sige po, I'll move on po muna to the next slide. So we also have San Fernando, La Union. It's more on the fun and creative post. So medyo high comments po yung something relatable. I think this one was about your best friend. And then medyo marami siya, mga 60 to 70 comments kung saan nagtag sila ng mga best friend nila. So it's really timely, it's relatable, etc. So for Mas Bate, medyo nabanggit na to kanina sa ating chat box. Na mga announcements and engagement. So inaabangan talaga ng followers yung mga scholarship announcements, walang pasok announcements, job postings, etc. So for Tacloban naman, what's good about the page that you have is that you use mixed language. So you use English and your local language. And it helps you target your post. Meron kayong pang constituents and meron din kayong para sa public. So ito lang mga po ay ilang samples for social media. And parte ng proyekto namin sa Digital Democracy at sa MBC, pinapahalagahan namin ang engagement at interaction, information dissemination through social media, as well as other digital platforms. So ang goal po namin sa ating workshops, series of workshops, ay mai-apply ninyo ang mga natutunan ninyo sa aming sessions sa pag-connect sa inyong nasasakupan. So, just in relation to social media, in a few months po, magkakaroon ng Digital Democracy Awards. So, parte po ng Digital Democracy Awards, magkakaroon po ng mga iba't ibang kategorya dito. At isa na doon, ang social media engagement. Kaya po tayo nagkaroon ng konting social media discussion. Gusto po namin kayong i-encourage na makapag-interact at gumamit ng inyong platforms to reach your target market. So ano nga ba yung pasok sa kategorya ng social media? Engagement. Magbibigay lamang po ako ng pahapyaw, hindi pa po ito yung buong detalye. May 3 subcategories ang Social Media Engagement Award at titingnan po namin ang top hashtag user. Ibibigay po namin yung hashtag na yan, ang page na may most liked post, in relation to the hashtag at ang LGU most covered by the media. So, magfo-focus lamang po tayo sa Facebook dahil yun dun po karamihan merong accounts ang inyong mga LGUs. At katulad po ng sinabi ko kanina, pahapyaw lamang po ito at maglalabas kami ng mas detalyadong mechanics at requirements sa mga susunod na linggo. Maraming salamat po ulit sa pakikinig at sana po ay may natutunan kayo sa social media at kung paano i-handle ang social media para sa inyong Digital Democracy Project sa mga susunod na buwan. Ita-turn over ko po ulit kay Gita para sa susunod na portion ng workshop.
Maraming salamat sa very, very helpful tips, Dessa. In summary, engaging stakeholders is essential for the success of the digital democracy initiatives. By following the tips shared today, you can ensure that diverse perspectives are considered, transparency is maintained, and trust is built within the community. I look forward to seeing how you will engage stakeholders in your own projects. So before jumping to the next topic, I just wanted to ask how everyone is doing. Can I get an emoji for how you're feeling right now? How's everyone doing? I see a heart. I see hearts. I see thumbs ups. I see someone is surprised. Wow, I love it. And yes, it's so nice to see you're all here with me today and we're all still good. Sige. So now that you know how to conduct your own digital democracy consultation and how to effectively engage your communities, ano ang susunod? What happens after you have asked your citizens for their feedback? Now it's time to discuss ang paggamit ng data to make effective decisions and improve governance. Ang paggamit ng data for decision-making ay mahalaga for good governance. The digital democracy consultation process is a way to gather this valuable information. Ang success ng mga konsultasyon na ito depends on paano ginagamit ng gobyerno ang nakuhang data para gumawa ng informed decisions na tumutulong sa pangangailangan at concerns ng kanilang mga stakeholders. There are several reasons why we need to use data for decision-making. So unang-una, informed decision. Ang data ang nagbibigay ng ebidensya para suportahan ang ating mga desisyon. Maraming LGU officials ang nagsabi sa sobrang nakatulong sa kanila ang data mula sa digital democracy consultations para ma-justify at mapagtanggol ang kanilang mga budgetary requests and decisions. Next po, addressing stakeholder concerns. Data helps the government to understand para maintindihan at tugunan ang pangangailangan at concerns ng mga mamamayan. This helps the government take actions or consider solutions ayon sa pangangailangan ng citizens. Tapos nun third, enhancing transparency and trust. Sa paggawa ng mga policies at decisions ng gobyerno na base sa proseso ng digital democracy na ipropromote ang transparency. Sa paggamit ng sentiment ng mamamayan sa decision-making, nakakapag-build ng trust sa community ang data. Before we proceed further, I wanted to remind everyone of the digital democracy process. Mula sa salitang digital, the digital democracy process is first and foremost an online process to quickly gather data from your citizens. Online ang proseso dahil mas mabilis, makakuha yung feedback ng ang gobyerno mula sa mga citizens at mabilis rin itong i-analyze. So before we proceed to the next slide, I wanted to ask you, gaanong kalayo yung pinakamalayong barangay ninyo from your city hall? So we asked this to Himamaylan last year actually. Sabi ni Himamaylan, from their city hall, they have to take a boat and then they have to take a 6-hour horse ride to their farthest barangay. 6 hours on the horse. So, gaano kalayo yung pinakamalayong barangay ninyo from your city hall? Maybe it's not so far, like Himamaylan. Baka may epekto rin yung traffic. How long does it take? 31 kilometers. How many minutes is that kaya? 31 kilometers. Maybe it's like 1 hour to travel by car? Tama po ba? I see in Hanan says in CDO, it's about 31 kilometers. Oh, it's 2 hours. Okay. And then Mark Anthony Latoha from San Fernando says it's about 43 minutes po. Okay, great. So it's a little bit far, 20 kilometers, but it's 2 hours away because of traffic. Correct. Minsan, pati Pasig and Makati, we're so close. Kung walang traffic, 15 minutes. Kung may traffic, 1.5 hours. So yes, depende rin po sa traffic. Thank you so much. So the reason I asked is because now I'm going to discuss online versus face-to-face consultations. Ang mga traditional or offline na paraan na magpakuha ng informasyon includes ang face-to-face survey collection, public forums, focus group discussions. While these methods have their value, may challenges paggamit na ito. So for example, sa traditional methods, the pro here, what's magaling dito is personal interaction. Ang mga methods na to ay nagbibigay ng face-to-face engagement na nakakatulong mag-build ng trust at rapport. Nagbibigay din sila ng in-depth qualitative data dahil sa personal na interactions. At another pro is very inclusive po siya. They can reach those even without internet access or digital literacy dahil marami pa rin sa atin na walang internet access. So pag face-to-face at meron po tayong survey, meron po tayong budget na that you can send someone to different places, maganda rin po siya. Then cons naman po, it's time-consuming. Ang face-to-face surveys at meetings ay mas matrabaho at maraming oras ang kailangan para i-organize at isagawa. Resource-intensive po siya. Mas maraming resources ang kailangan tulad ng personnel, materials at venues at transportation costs. Limited po yung reach, geographic and logistical limitations can restrict the number of participants. Mahirap kung masyadong malayo yung participants natin dahil it's difficult for the government to go to them and difficult for them to come to the City Hall and participate. So on the other hand, ito naman ang advantages at challenges sa paggamit ng digital or online methods. So for digital methods, yung pros po is efficiency, mas mabilis ang data collection at analysis ng online methods dahil sa automated tools. Wider po yung reach ng digital kasi mas maraming tao na aabot, mas diverse yung audience, kahit saan sila, pwede sila gumamit ng cellphone para mag-participate. And finally, cost-effective rin siya kasi nababawasan ang pangangailangan sa physical resources such as travel. Cons po, digital divide. Hindi naaabot ang online methods ang mga walang access sa internet o digital devices. Less personal din po siya kasi wala itong personal touch ng face-to-face interaction. Pero pwede naman itong ma-offset with the online citizen assemblies kung saan pwedeng mag-interact ang mga mamamayan at government officials online. Technical issues, lagi naman possibility ito na maaring magka-apekto sa participation ng citizens ang technical issues. So to conclude, ang benefit ng digital democracy consultation ay nakakapagbigay ito sa local governments ng citizen sentiment na mas mabilis at madaling hapad habang nakakatipid ng gastos. And kasi we love numbers, data po ito, nakita natin sa Iligan City, average na 20 tao ang sumasali sa mga physical public forums sila. Tinanong po namin, ilang ba taong nagpa-participate pag nagpa-public forum po sila? Sabi nila 20. Average 20, sometimes less, sometimes maximum 30, 40. Pero sa paggawa po namin ng online digital democracy consultation, 229 tao ang nag-engage sa digital democracy project online. So this is very good for us. Once data is collected, the next step is to analyze and interpret the data. Dito papasok ang ating data scientists. They provide analysis of the data and interpret the findings. Alam ko na some of you are experts sa data analysis and some of us may need help. Sa ganoong kaso, pwede kayong makipagtulungan sa mga scientists tulad ng LayerTech Labs para sa mga konsultasyon na ito. We recommend na kapag pinakita na natin ang analysis and results ng data, dapat it's easy to understand. Ang usual visualization tools na ginagamit natin ay charts and graphs or infographics para to make the data easier to understand. So going back to the process, ito po yung step 4, the closing assembly, where the data is presented and shared with the government. Pero nai-recommend namin na i-share ang data ng scientists and findings sa LGU ilang araw bago ang closing assembly para makapaghanda sila. Sa closing assembly, kasama ulit ang ating citizens para makinig sa data. Makinig as the data scientists present their findings. The government then shares what they plan to do next. Now that you know what the community needs, dito kadalasan nagkakaroon ng breakout room sessions kasama ng mga stakeholders para sa kanilang opinion at recommendations, parang mini FGD. The true success of a digital democracy consultation is when the government uses the data to make informed decisions. Successful ito kapag ginagamit ng LGU officials kasama ang kanilang CSO partners ang data para gabayan ang mga desisyon at tugunan ang concerns at needs ng stakeholders. Ang digital democracy ay nakakatulong para masigurado na ang mga desisyon ng LGU ay evidence-based at well-informed. Finally, when adapting strategies based on decisions, it's important to communicate the government's next steps to their citizens, closing the feedback loop. This ensures that citizens feel heard and they can see that their participation in government decisions bear fruit. This provides transparency and helps build trust within the community. So balik tayo sa example from our consultation with Intramuros, nalaman ng Intramuros administration sa consultation na kahit gusto ng lahat na isara ang General Luna sa vehicular traffic, may concerns ang mga negosyo tungkol sa paano makakarating ang delivery sa kanilang mga shops kung bawal ang sasakyan. May concerns din tungkol sa paano makakarating ang mga bride sa simbahan para sa kanilang kasal. Kaya ang administration, this was in 2021, nagdesisyon na buksan ang kalsada sa ilang oras ng araw para sa vehicular traffic, lalo na para sa deliveries, para masiguro na maging robust pa rin ang mga negosyo. By using data for decision-making, gumawa ang Intramuros administration ng policy decisions na popular sa kanilang mga mamamayan. So thank you. So here is now the results of Intramuros. As you can see, pedestrian only na po ang General Luna. And it's really nice to see that MBC was able to help Intramuros make this decision happen. So thanks everyone for listening to me. Let's have a quick health break before we move to the breakout session of the trading. See you in 5 minutes. Welcome back. I hope you had a good health break. In today's breakout room session, you'll be creating your own stakeholder map. And I'd like to show you a sample of a stakeholder map. So let me start by sharing my screen. All right. I hope you can see my screen. All good? Thumbs up, everyone, if you can see po. Okay, great. So here's our stakeholder map. So the stakeholder map has a few steps. So step 1, define the topic. Ano yung topic po that you are going to be, that you need to understand so that you to make your stakeholder map around that. So here po is where we go back to our problem tree analysis. Ano po ang sinabi natin is our core problem or core objective. So that's step 1. So for today's session, I would like to discuss with you how we created the stakeholder map for our project with Intramuros, where we try to understand, should General Luna be closed to vehicular traffic and be kept as a pedestrian-only zone? So sino po yung mga stakeholders natin? So ang unang step is to fill in the blank, which is to do brainstorming. So stakeholder 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sino po ang mga stakeholders natin? So maybe I could ask you in the Zoom room, could you give me any suggestions? Who are the stakeholders that we need to talk to? Motorists. That's great. So motorists, businesses operating along General Luna, businesses. That's absolutely correct. Any other thoughts? Tourists, absolutely. That's a great suggestion. Government offices, yes po. Do we generalize the stakeholders or specify names? At this point, it's okay to be general or as specific as you want. Both would work. Public transport associations. Pedestrians, yes po. Transport groups. Senior citizens. biker groups. This is great. So yes, please write as many stakeholders as you can for your own specific topic, local government. Yes. So there's a lot of, as you can see, there's a lot of, why are there group numbers in the slide? Yes, I'll explain it to you po, Doc Linda, if that's in the next part. So once you've gotten PWD, thank you so much, PWD. So it's great. So once you have all of the stakeholders listed down, you don't have to do 15. You can do less, you can do more. It's absolutely up to you. So once you have stakeholders written down, you can group them together. So for example, we have government offices and local government. Maybe you can group them together and then their category would be government, right? Then we have youth leaders, you were saying, youth leaders. So then you have biker groups and we also have transport groups. So both of them are kind of, and transport association. So what I would do is probably put all three of them together. So this would be like transportation group, right? So that's what we try to do. The second step is, yes. So first step is to identify, then the second step is to categorize. So group them into different categories. So that's what we did here. So for example, with Intramuros, the topic was, should General Luna be closed to vehicular traffic? These were the stakeholders I listed. You had so many more, which is fantastic. And then we now group them into a stakeholder map. So we have academia, we have workers in Intramuros, interested groups, the church, and businesses. So the reason I placed an arrow here is workers in Intramuros, of course, aside from government officials, a lot more, they're also part of the business community, right? So that's why I placed an arrow there. So while government officials are not businesses, they have similar interests. So now the third step is to identify the interests of the community. So this is where we have the column in the bottom. So if you look at it says interests in the bottom. So this is where we look at the interests of the academia. For example, there are two schools in Intramuros. There's Mapua University and another university. And both of them have teachers and students. But their primary concern is really about transportation in and out of the city. And then secondly, the workers in Intramuros, their transportation is the same. So you can see it's kind of aligned. The interest groups like tourists and historians, for them, what interests them is the impact of the policy on the historical buildings. For the church, or the category church, which is parishioners, priests, and bride, their concern is also transport in and out of the city. And finally, for businesses, the concern is running of business operations. Now, the final step is to identify how to engage with the different stakeholders. So may I ask your help for this? How would we engage students in Intramuros? Could you kindly write it down? So I've placed a few icons on the left. So these are methods of engagement. There's, of course, social media. There's text, SMS. There's mail. There's phone calls as well. For students of Intramuros, what would be the best way to interact? SOCMED, for sure. So what I would do is copy and then put that here. So there are several kinds of social media, right? So it depends on your city, which social media you would prefer to use. So there's these three. How about for the teachers? What would be great ways to reach out to them? GC, like a messenger on, okay, great. Yes, that's a great way to get on a group chat with them. SMS and email, so yes. So mail and then SMS. So you've gotten the idea of this, right? We're trying to identify what's the best way to reach all of these stakeholders. How about tourists, Facebook? So now let's jump to this category, tourists. How do you think would be great to reach out to the tourists? Through Facebook, Any other thoughts? IG, yes. Yeah, great. So one thing perhaps, yes. So one thing perhaps I didn't include here is there are tour operators as well. So perhaps what you could include here is also reaching out to the tour operators so they can also communicate. YouTube, definitely over here. So while we started being pretty general, it would be nice to be more specific as we go along. So students in Intramuros, be more specific. Students of Mapua and students of the universities, right? So government officials, which offices are there? Who will you reach out to? So this is how we go from a broad stakeholder map into a more narrow one. Is it all clear? Any questions, everyone? Anyone before we proceed to our breakout room?
Ma'am Gita, may I ask
Sure.
if mag-stick kami dun sa problem namin since day 1 and day 2, then in relative to this stakeholder map, based pa rin po dun sa aming nagawang problem tree analysis, right?
Yes, yes.
Because on part of Batangas City, we have a consultation po last Tuesday, and we have come up with our final topic. So we changed totally our problem down to the this presentations. Thank you.
Oh, that's great, Dr. Antenor. If you've changed your problem, maybe you can use your new problem in your stakeholder map na po. I think that would be good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Antenor. Anyone else have any questions or concerns before we begin? All right, if no questions, we will now move to our breakout room. So our breakout room is going to be 30 minutes. And in the room, we have assigned you per LGU. We'll have 2 prompts, like the same as last week, 10 minutes and 5 minutes, indicating the time's passed. And after the session, your chosen leader will summarize what was collectively discussed by the group. The topics you discuss in the breakout room will be used to help you make your own digital democracy consultation in your LGU. In the chat box, we've already shared your slides. All right, it's time to go into our breakout room. See you there. I hope you had an amazing time in your breakout room session. I'm looking forward to seeing all of your stakeholder maps. So may I ask if there's any volunteers to start with their sharing?
Okay, kami na po.
Of course, Batangas. Great. Dr. Antenor, please go ahead and share your screen.
Okay, so thank you so much, Ma'am Gita. Okay, so good morning again, everyone. So just like what I have mentioned earlier, we have to, after our consultations with our focal person, so we have arrived with our final topic and programs. So to proceed with the level of awareness and engagement of our youth leaders here in Batangas City. Okay, so just to have siguro po justifications for why we changed the topic, because we actually deal with the youth engagements actually an essential for the development of a resilient community, right? So we want something that our programs are developed in partnership with our youth. So para pong kumbaga, we are aiming really a meaningful youth engagement to build as equal partners, okay? When it comes to the decision-making process. And we really intend our programs and activities that are developed with youth and rather than for youth. So thank you so much. So here are our stakeholders map. So our topic is increasing the awareness and engagement of our youth leaders in our Batangas City's cultural activities. So for our after the collaborative efforts of our participants here in Batangas City, we have come up with 5 groups. Okay, when it comes to our stakeholders, we categorize this based on according to government, organizational groups, academe, business, and culture and heritage. So as you can see, most of the stakeholders involved in the government have this kind of interest when it comes to enforcement of policies relative to our youth. Okay, so we have here the SK chairpersons as youth leaders, local government officials, and enforcers. Then on the organizational group, so we have come up various organizations like CSOs, media, voluntary organizations, and other religious sectors when it comes to their interest in participation. And when it comes to academe also, there are actually a lot of youth leaders here which are actually students pa sa ngayon. So the reason why we include teachers, students, and associations of parents and teachers. Why? Because majority when it comes to youth engagement, nagbabase pa rin ng ating mga kabataan sa kumbaga po ay desisyon ng kanilang mga magulang. For example, kung sila ay pupunta sa so kailangan pa rin nila ng budgetary requirements to engage. So the reason why we include this parents association. When it comes to business, so we include business owners, of course, yung ating po mga tour operators and business clubs, because we have various business clubs here po in the city government. So of course, their interest is about running of their businesses and their interest when it comes to cultural activities. For example, pwede ba silang mag-put ng mga business for promotional, okay, when it comes to their products and services. And then last is when it comes to culture and heritage. So we have come up with various stakeholders in terms of tourists, yung ating mga motorista. Of course, we have performers or yung mga performing groups po natin, mga artists, and of course, yung ating mga matutunog ngayon na mga local personalities and influencers, lalo na po yung ating mga bloggers. Okay, because it is actually one form of promotions. So that is their interest po on that. So that's all po our stakeholders map. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening.
Thank you so much, Dr. Antenor. This is great, and I really like how you mentioned influencers, because that is quite important when talking about youth. Great, thank you so much. Now we
Thank you
have
so much.
San Fernando La Union, who would like to present their stakeholder map next.
Nakikita ka, Sans, of course.
And we have Miss Sandra, as usual. All right, great.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Again, I am Zandra Manongo from the City Government of San Fernando, La Union. So just a heads up, we were not able to finish the presentation. Given the time, I'll explain na ko later kung bakit ganyan pa yung mga icons on how are we going to engage with our stakeholders. But for now, here we have 5 groups of stakeholders. The first one is the government sector, which we identified here, the national government agencies, the LGUs, both internal and external partner of the city, given that we have also other LGUs that we're providing services with, and we also share them our programs, and of course, the barangay officials. The next sector is the business group, which we identified here, the locators and investors, the Chamber of Commerce and Industry, La Union, and we also have here the public utility vehicles and the MSMEs. Third is the CSOs with the non-government organizations, people's organizations, including the local people's council, the academe, and the professional sector, or the professional groups rather. And of course, our clients, including the taxpayers, the tourists, and the residents, of course. And our partners, the service providers, and the other institutions that are both donors and beneficiaries. So, our problem here, or in a question form, is how can we improve our feedback mechanisms for our programs and services? This reflects the problem tree analysis that we have presented in our first day of the training. And the interests that arise from this group of stakeholders are somewhat almost the same among all of them. The client satisfaction measurement report, and the development, planning, or policy formation of the city. Yan. So, ayun po, halos pare-pareho po sila because we are dealing with our clients, with the people who we offer our services. And how to engage with them also, halos pare-pareho din, most probably using emails para po formal. The social media, of course, for a more convenient platform for communication, especially using the Messenger app or the Meta. And of course, hindi rin po namin dito ina-exclude yung SMS or the phone calls for better conversation with our stakeholders. Yeah. Yun lang po. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, San Fernando. And I also heard you had a power outage in your city. And happy to see that you've produced such a nice map and looking forward to seeing it completed once you guys have the time. Thank you so much. So now I'd like to call on Masbate City. Masbate City, may I ask you to kindly share your screen? And-
Share screen. Okay. Okay.
Great.
Yes, hello, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. For the of Masbate, we have defined the topic, or our project would be what feedback mechanism should the city government of Masbate establish? So ang core problem naman was we have this lack of feedback mechanism for our frontline services, which is nakafocus kami sa 4 na offices, which is PPLO, Assessor, Treasury, and Economic Enterprise. Okay. So for that, our stakeholders would be the taxpayers, of course, the farmers, fisher folks, private property owners, business owners, business associations like Saudan, retail associations, professionals and job seekers. Ang pinaka-interest nila is, of course, yung ease of doing business in the city. Like yung payment ng kanilang permits, amilyar, real property taxes, and so on and so forth. So another stakeholder is, of course, the city government of Masbate. Involved offices would be the BPLO, the city assessor, treasury, the economic enterprise, in cooperation ng City Information Office and the Sangguniang Pangsod. We have also involved the 30 barangays of the city of Masbate. Ito is yung parang the 30 barangays would be of help to us in terms of information dissemination and whatever pa na pwede nilang maitulong sa aming taxpayers and the city government. Interest. Ang pinaka-interest would be, okay, for the city government of Masbate, we would like to have an on-time collection and quality of services na mararender po namin sa aming mga taxpayers for efficient collection and the delivery of services.
All right.
That would be all, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Masbate City. This looks great and looking forward to your digital democracy consultation po. And then finally, we have either Tacloban or Cagayan de Oro. Who would like to go next?
We'll go for Cagayan de Oro.
Okay, great. Please share your screen, Cagayan de Oro.
Can you see my screen now po?
Yes.
Okay. Wait lang ha. Balikan ko lang yung problem 3 namin kasi doon naman our core problem actually is the lack of familiarity with ORTPC services tailored for MSME medium enterprises. So our topic or project that we wanted to consult with our citizen is what strategies and programs should the city government implement to increase awareness and utilization of ORTPC services while addressing the needs of the MSMEs. So we have here, we have identified here 5 groups are the business groups, the local chambers. We have actually, I think, 5 local chambers here in Cagayan de Oro, the industry associations and exporters. Medyo marami kasi sila, so we make it as general group na lang. So this group interest is really the ease of doing business in Cagayan de Oro. So we have identified here, as you can see in the screen, how we can reach them through social media, SMS, and emails. The second groups are the financing institutions, such as banks, cooperative, and other lending institutions. That these groups actually wanted their products or financing programs to be utilized by the MSMEs, as well as the government also. Of course, one of the important stakeholder also are the governments implementing programs for MSMEs, such as those NGAs, TTI, the UST, the city, among others. The city hall offices and departments, the ORT-APC, our department, the CFWD, and then there are other also departments that are implementing program for MSMEs. And of course, on the lower level, the Barangay Development Council. So this group's interest is to scale up the businesses within the locality, and of course, job creation for the city. And then next is the logistics. We have identified here the delivery platforms for MSMEs on how they can. This is more of enabler, but how they can market their products, and of course the MSME suppliers, where the raw materials are being sourced. So their interest is to widen their market opportunities. Like for example, the MSME suppliers, they wanted to, of course, market their products more to bigger entrepreneurs. And then there are also the business councils. Actually, meron pa pong mga ibang business councils here in the locality, such as ICT councils and among others. But for now, ito pa po yung na-identify namin, the MSME Development Council and the Kami Creative Council. Basically, their interest is the product development and promotions of those products. So for now, ito lang po yung present namin given the time allocated. We'll try to improve this siguro in our implementation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sir Hanan. It looks great, and looking forward to your digital democracy consultation. And last but definitely not least, we have Tacloban. May I know who will be presenting from Tacloban po?
Parang ako yata yung mag-present there. Kita, no? Because karamihan ng mga sa LGU ng Tacloban are not here. So si naman, yung LGU, si Gab, is also just using her cell phone. So
Okay.
although they were there when we were discussing the when we were doing the brainstorming in the breakout group. Okay, so I would like to start with, I hope you can see my screen.
Yes.
Teka muna. So we would like to start with our problem tree analysis. It was done the last time. The city of Tacloban is concerned with the low awareness of LGU programs and services by the citizens, and likewise by the civil society organizations. And the root of the problem is that there is limited access to information, and there are no sources of information on ano yung programs and services of the LGU. And then limited din yung mga dissemination activities. And kasi people, the CSOs and citizens are also hindi pa masyadong digital, so hindi umaabot yung mga information on LGU programs and services sa kanila. And wala pa silang Freedom of Information Ordinance, so hindi na-institutionalize yung feedback mechanisms. At maski yung konting feedback na nakuha nila ngayon, masyadong hindi pa sila consolidated at coordinated at processed, no? So ang result dyan, low participation in policy making. And maliit din yung nag-avail sa mga services. So hindi natin alam kung na-meet ba yung mga expectations or needs ng citizens kasi hindi naman napaalam. Walang feedback mechanism. Kaya nga hindi nag-avail kasi sa mga programa at services, no? And the LGU cannot also do innovation kasi walang citizen input. Walang masyadong feedback. That would be the basis for citizen input. And then, lalo na sa tourism opportunities, Tacloban is the center of Region 8. And lahat ng pupunta elsewhere in the Leyte Samar area go to Tacloban. So maraming tourism opportunities but kasi walang means to know about the tourism program and services of the city, so hindi masyadong na-maximize yung tourism opportunities. So yung discussion namin in the group, we were about, I think, 4, pang-5 si Adria, no? At pang-6 pala, 6, 7, ako at saka si Paz ng Change Project. So we group them into private citizens that would include youth, business people, private employees, barangay officials, staff, residents, and the POs based in the barangay. And we especially designated a group called the vulnerable sector kasi sila yung dapat na maka-avail sa services, no? Kasi vulnerable nga, no? They have more needs than other sectors in the community. So the elderly, the PWD, women and children, the transport sector as well, no? So kasi sabi ng traffic daw yung Tacloban, no? It's a growing, highly urbanized city. So and then there's the hub, the regional hub. So masyadong vehicles that need to be, improve ang traffic. So the pedicabs and the transport sector are also a bit edgy on that regard. And the livelihood groups also, no, sidewalk vendors, ambulant vendors, the MSMEs, were also eager to know ano ba yung mga livelihood programs, financial assistance, marketing assistance programs na they can avail of to improve their business and also spur and boost the local economy. Private citizens, meron silang need and interest to, yung get the permits, certificates, the ease of doing business, how can they make sure that ito ma-apply din sa kanila. For the barangays naman, how to avail or access LGU programs and services, and the vulnerable sector, of course, how to access basic services like health, welfare services, education, and even yung mga gender and development activities like violence against women and children, yung mga programs for fathers, programs for mothers. The transport sector is interested to improve traffic in the city and to streamline the terminals. Kasi yung terminals daw are so spread out in the entire city, it will be expensive for commuters, no, to go to the towns, to move from one area to another. And the livelihood groups, of course, would like to avail of services and projects that can improve their own small, medium enterprises and help boost the economy of the area. So here in the screen that you will see is a spread of means to reach out to these sectors, no? So you have Facebook. Actually, yung pinag-usapan namin, all of these can be applicable all the sectors, no? We just identify ano yung pinaka-critical modality to reach out to them. So yun lang, Grita, yung presentation ng Tacloban for and in behalf of Tacloban City.
Thank you so much, Doc Linda. This is a great presentation, and I think Tacloban is going to be doing a great job in their consultation. So just a few reminders before we leave. I know it's already 11:30. So just wanted to remind you that I hope you've already finalized a topic or a problem with your leaders and get a go signal from them that this is talaga your topic that you'll have your digital democracy consultation on. I'd also like to request everyone to kindly schedule a one-on-one session with MBC. Next week would be great. In the afternoons, we're very much available. It's an opportunity for both teams to align and check in as you start your digital democracy consultations because we really want all of you to win the Digital Democracy Awards po. And speaking of awards, the awards are scheduled in November 2024. Please schedule your your digital democracy consultations in the time period between July and September 2024. Once again, thank you everyone. And I think we've learned a lot from each other, and see you tomorrow. And if you haven't already, do like and follow us on social media. Good morning. See you tomorrow.